All right, good morning, good night, and good evening, my motherfucking royals. If this message is gracing your page today, then the message is for you, or the message for you is you need to work on your relationship with God. And so, what do I mean by that, right? So there's actually a few areas that we need to talk about when we're talking about the relationship with God, right? First, we'll talk about the relationship with self. And so, obviously, as every single one of us, as every single thing that exists down here on earth being a piece of God, obviously the first step is loving yourself, right? And so, you can't love God and not love yourself. It just doesn't work that way, because if you're neglecting anything about taking care of yourself, then you're neglecting a piece of God that needs to be cared for, right? And so if you are not working out, you're not going out in nature, you're not grounding, you don't meditate, you don't eat healthy, those kind of things, like that is neglecting yourself. That is neglecting your body, that is neglecting your spirit, that's neglecting your inner child, right? And so we always want to make sure that we are taking the proper steps in when it comes to loving ourselves and loving and really taking care of ourselves to give ourselves the love that we need. Like, it's not somebody else's job to give you the love that you need. It's your own job, right? And then when you love yourself, that love will then start to trickle out into every other area of your life, and it'll be very much apparent, right? Like, everybody knows somebody that loves themselves to the max, right? That won't just entertain anything. That's another thing, right? Like, when you love yourself, you're not going to put yourself in certain situations. You're not going to entertain certain people, certain places, certain situations, because you know that you're too good for those things, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing conceited about it. There's nothing there's nothing wrong with, realizing and recognizing that you've either outgrown a situation, people, places, or things, or that you are better than something, right? I'm not saying, oh, I'm better than a person, right? I just mean oh, I've seen this type of person, I've seen this person before, I know the games that they play, it's the typical shit, I'm better than that. So you remove yourself, right? So that would be a step in the right direction when it comes to loving yourself, because you're not sacrificing your being in order to please another, or you're not sacrificing your being in order to serve another, type shit. And so the next thing, right, when we talk about all of that stuff, I always am going to stress meditation and drinking water. There are days where I won't eat for, most of the day, and then I'm well, I was just unintentionally fasting, that happens. But water and staying hydrated specifically is a must, right? It's the number one necessity you need, right? Air, water, and then food last. And so you always want to make sure you're drinking enough water, right? The next thing that I wanted to say was, in the zones of eating healthy, what I really, really, really want to stress is sugar consumption. So drinking sodas all the time, eating candy, eating sweets, all of that stuff is bad for you, obviously, but all of that stuff is lowering your vibration. I've been at the point for years now where I can only eat a certain amount of sweets before it immediately starts giving me a headache, and I'm okay, my vibration is lowering, right? The more sugar you eat is going to keep you in that low vibrational mindset, and sugar is more addictive than certain drugs. I don't know how YouTube or TikTok is. Well, I know how TikTok is, so I don't want to say it, but y'all know what I mean. You can look it up, right? And so if you find yourself constantly craving sweets, that is not a good thing. You are dependent on the sugar, you're addicted to the sugar, right? And so right? We talk about, eating healthy and all that stuff. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is, right, God is always there for us. God is always listening. God is always watching, right? God is always providing a space for us to live, breathe, and grow. And God is always trying to push us to be the best version of ourselves, right? And so, just like you would talk to, a parent, or just like you would talk to a spouse or a sibling, what do you do when you're talking to people that you love and you trust, right? You vent to them, right? You tell them all your dreams, your aspirations. You tell them what you desire. You tell them everything. You talk to them all the time. And I myself recently, like as of yesterday, I realized that I wasn't putting in the work like I used to. I wasn't talking to God as much as I was, because I was so caught up in the everyday life, right? And it's so easy, especially, when a lot of people nowadays, they have kids, everybody has bills to pay, everybody has a job, right? And so it can be easy to get so caught up in the earthly, to get so caught up in that job, in the everything, that by the time you get home, you don't want to really do anything. You just want to sit down for a second. You might put on a TV, you might, doom scroll. And then, by the time you know it, like 2 or 3 hours could have passed. That could have been time that you meditated. That could have been time that you were talking to God, right? And so that's like a big thing, right? You should always be talking to God, and you should always be listening for God's messages, watching out for God's messages. If you've been following me for a long time, then you already know, like I told you, ever since I was a little kid, like ever since I was like 5, 6, 7, I was always looking for messages within things. Now, I don't know if that was just, like programmed into me, but I was always like, if I go outside and I'm sitting in the grass, and I could be looking at the grass, and there could be a message right there, right? Just off the way the grass is, or the grass is moving, or, you look up and you see like a bird. I was just about to say, you look up and you see 2 birds right there. I'm going to take that as confirmation. You look up and you see 2 birds, right? Like that could be a sign, right? Because we're living in a massive movie, right? We're living in a massive movie, like a grand scale, right? God split down into many different pieces. God is everything, expanding the earth, right? God is the earth. God is everything here. And so we're literally like watching a movie. And I just pulled up behind this car. 343 is up there. Y'all already know that's one of my numbers. And so y'all know that. Oh, and 888 on the same thing. That's hilarious. And so, like we're watching this movie play out on a grand scale. And so there's no such thing as coincidences. And I think it's the movie Two Guns. This guy's like, if you think something's a coincidence, it's only because you're not looking hard enough. Like that. Like everything is too beautifully crafted down here for anything to just be a coincidence. So, pay attention when you're hearing that, like when you're having a thought, and then, you might hear like a noise off in the distance, or you might hear like a car horn, or an airplane flies over, like little things like that, right? And so, the next thing that I wanted to talk about, because I can't remember if I did already, is like doom scrolling. Obviously, you are going to become what you give your energy to the most. And technology, like while a lot of technology does help, a lot of technologies, like when it comes to phones, video games, televisions and stuff like that, that stuff is all designed to keep you enslaved. It's all designed to keep you in that sphere, in that world. And it's designed to ultimately break your connection with reality, and to break your connection with God. Because if you're always staring at your screen, if you're always putting all of your energy, you're spending hours and hours and hours, you're not living life. You're not loving yourself. Like, you're watching other people live their lives, and you are neglecting yourself. And so, but back on topic, because I kind of got off, but you just want to tell God everything, right? Like, I talk to God all day, every day. Like I said, half the time, like I'll just be quiet, and people will think that I'm quiet, and I'm not talking out loud, but in my head, like, I'm talking to God, like, I'm, like, like, I don't need to elaborate on that too much, but, you could always ask God for signs. That's another way that I think a lot of people miss an opportunity to connect with God. Like, sit there and just sit for a second and be like, God, I need a sign from you, right? So what I do specifically is, like, I just did one the other day. I was like, God, I was like, if like X, Y, and Z is true, and I'm on the right path and all this stuff, I want you to show me something that's like bright, like neon green. And as soon as I did that, I didn't really see anything, but then I started driving around, and all of a sudden, since that day, I have been seeing like bright neon green stuff everywhere I go. I was door dashing the other day. There was a freaking bright neon green scooter in the parking lot at one of the restaurants I went to. Then I like turned the corner and there's like a giant neon green truck, like that kind of stuff. Like, and you would be surprised, 11:11, like how God is trying to connect to you. And so ultimately, like I said, if this message is for you and what I just said like stuck with you, or it struck you in your heart, just start working on that relationship, right? Love yourself, love God, and love everybody else. Because like I said, God is always there. God is always watching. God is always pushing you to be the best version of you that you can be. And we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to God to really be like taking that initiative, right? Like, God is always looking out for us. God is always making sure that we are safe and stuff like that. And so like you really do owe it to yourself, and not just yourself, but you owe it to your community. Because like I said, when you love yourself, and when you love yourself right, that love is going to start pouring out of you into your surroundings. And I just got a notification for confirmation. We do not heal, right? Love heals through us. And so if you are trying to force people, right, into following God, or you're trying to, blast them with the gospel, oftentimes they're not going to be receptive of it. But when you love yourself and you start shining, right, when you have the light of God over you, people are going to start wondering. They're going to be like, well, what is it? What are they doing? And then they're going to come to you, and they're going to look for that guidance, right? And then on top of that, right, when the love is pouring out of you and into everything around you, then everyone starts getting that love from God through you. And then everything will start changing. You'll start changing lives. You'll start changing hearts. It'll just be amazing. So much love to everybody. 1313 as I'm finishing up this video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.